astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. This week's reading is your next big win. What is the universe bringing to you? We have 5 pals to choose from, but before we get into these pals, as always, I'm going to remind you to like, to comment, and to subscribe. I love and appreciate your support so much, and big thanks to my astronauts who continue to support me. And speaking of support, feel free to come to the live sessions. If you have a question you would like to ask me, all you have to do is join the lives. I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and the time will be posted on the community tab. Also in that community tab, I love to poll my astronauts. So if you want to give your input on what reading will be next or upcoming on this channel, I should say, then all you have to do is check out those polls. No announcements for me, so let's jump into these cards. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pal number 1, let's get into your next big win. We have the Knight of Wands, the 6 of Pentacles, the Tower, the Knight of Swords, and Mars and Saturn. Very interesting selection of cards, but before we get into that, let's get into your Astro Dice to see what your next big win will be. Okay, we have the 5th house in Aquarius with the Sun. So the Sun in Aquarius and the 5th house. Very interesting. So to me, it feels like this next big win is kind of like moments of excitement, moments of where you feel like you can express yourself creatively or in some other manner. Sometimes it's just vocalizing how you feel, vocalizing what you think. That is a lot of the next big win for you, pal number 1. It is all about being able to enjoy your life, essentially. I mean, it's getting rid of the areas that feel like you're not having the free time that you want. Like, it's like freeing up your space, freeing up your work, freeing up your responsibilities so that you have time to enjoy yourself. So though you don't feel like you're stuck in a rut, so that you feel inspiration in your day to day. You know, sometimes I like to roll these little Astro Dice for myself to see how the day is going to be. And I've definitely gotten, you know, this sort of Sun in the 5th house combination. And it's always a time where I am focusing on, you know, spending time with friends or doing things that interest me. It's all about being able to take in the world around me and seeing the beauty in the world. So your next big win could more than likely be a time in which you just feel enjoyment, where you just feel peace, where you just feel happiness, where you just make time for hobbies or crafting or, like I said, expressing yourself creatively. It's all about enjoyment. And the 5th house, you know, it's not just hobbies, it's free time. So sometimes you're like, I don't want to have a lot of things to do. Maybe you don't have a lot of hobbies or etc. Maybe you just like to sit back and watch Netflix, and that's okay. It's making time for yourself. It's making time to make sure that you feel good, to nourish your spirit, to pull away from the grind and the stressors of life. So your next big win has to do with celebrating yourself, bringing happiness to yourself, bringing peace into yourself, bringing emotional fulfillment within to yourself, spending time with people you care about, especially since we have 2 knights here. Normally when I have people cards come up and it's like more than one, then it's like, oh, I'm spending time with other people. I'm communicating with other people. I am connecting with other people. So I really do see time that you're spending to connect with other people. And it feels like you're doing things that are exciting. It feels things like you're doing things that are new. Obviously, Aquarius can definitely represent like just online and things like general. So maybe you're like, oh, I'm just enjoying my life, connecting and scrolling through YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram. And, you know, maybe I connect through people in that way. And I think it's fun. That's all well and good, but it's all about being able to actually fully enjoy that. And if you felt like some sort of anxiety when it comes to that, like sometimes people, they go through social media and they compare their lives and they start to feel a little anxious. For you, it could be like, no, I don't really feel that. I just feel more connected. I feel like I can find other people like me. Some people have created online communities for themselves. I've seen all sorts of different communities, from like different crafting communities, from book reading, to people who are in similar life circumstances or have had similar life experiences. That could be something that you are investing your time in. You may feel like, oh, in real life, I don't meet a lot of people who, I'm trying to think of something. Oh, this is a community I've seen on TikTok. People who are kind of like late bloomers, like things along the lines of that, meaning like they haven't had like a lot of different relationships or romantic connections, and they connect online and they're like, oh my gosh, there's people like me. Or you have people who are like Christian and they're waiting for marriage, and they're just like, in real life, I don't see that in my environment. Nobody else seems to be as serious about, you know, waiting for marriage or something like that, or has the same values as me. And then you go online and you find a community of people who are like you. So that could possibly be one of your next big wins. But I really do feel like you're getting more space to relax, more space to have fun, more space to express yourself creatively. And the fifth house definitely represents that entertainment, that spotlight, that, you know, being the star and things along the lines of that, especially since we have Aquarius, the audience. So your next big win could be like a rise in audience, or a rise in people who are interested in what you do, or interested in you, interested in your craft, whatever it is that you focus your time on. You know, if you are someone who has any sort of craft, I'm just thinking of book writing now because I mentioned it before. Let's say you write books, and all of a sudden this Sun fifth house Aquarius energy is like, oh wow, people are buying my book. They're interested in what I have to say. They're interested in my digital, what do you call it? Digital products. They're interested in my digital products, and they're buying them, or maybe physical products. It doesn't really matter, but it's like people are investing their time into the things that you have crafted, and they're giving you that attention, and they're giving you that support, and they even maybe more than likely so giving that financial backing, that financial support, especially since we have these Six of Pentacles here, which is all about giving in that way. That's its main sort of meaning. Like, I'm giving you something that can support you, whether that's practical advice or actual money or resources or time and energy. But this is a next big win for you, pal number one. The Knight of Wands obviously is somebody who is very energetic, someone who's confident, someone who's bold, someone who takes strides towards their goals. And so one of the next big wins that could happen for you is that you are bold, you are in action, you are moving forward, you feel energized, you feel like you can do whatever you set your mind to. Like, if you have felt unmotivated, if you felt tired, if you felt sluggish, well then this is like, I have received inspiration and I am ready to act. I'm ready to go. This can also represent your next big win being courage. The thing is, we have the third house representing courage, and third from the third, meaning the third house from the third house, is the fifth house. And thus, it is like the higher version of courage. It's like being even more courageous. It's like putting yourself out there. Third house is like, hey, I'm talking to people in my neighborhood. Fifth house is like, I'm talking to people around the world. You know, like, it takes another level of courage. Like, I am on the stage, I'm performing, like I'm showing people, a mass amount of people, who I am, especially with that sign of Aquarius. And so when we have this Knight of Wands, your next big win is a rise in courage, a rise in enthusiasm, a rise of self-expression, a rise in confidence, the ability and the drive to chase your dreams. This can also represent, like I said before, all of those areas and things that you find exciting, because naturally the third house is connected to Leo, which is a fire sign, which connects to wands, right? So there's a double emphasis on this type of wand fiery energy that is going on here. It's like I'm expressing myself. My next big win is I am confident in myself and who I am, and I'm feeling like I am able to say what I want to say. I'm no longer meek. I'm no longer holding back. I'm putting myself out there. I am trying new things. I'm taking risk. I am going the distance. I am experimenting and doing different things. It is all about putting yourself out there, and you have this big win moment when it comes to that. Like I said, if you've been in this place where you've been a little bit shy, or you felt like, oh, I'm so bored, there's nothing to do, you find things to do. You find things that excite you. You find things that reinvigorate your spirit. And that's what's going to be happening for you, pile number one. Now, it's interesting that we have this Six of Pentacles going on here along with the Tower, because the Tower is all about destroying those new beliefs. And, you know, the Six of Pentacles is always about this collaboration and coming to, and also dealing with generosity and having resources at your feet. But it feels like maybe you're gaining a different access to certain resources. Maybe you're receiving some sort of advice or even opportunity that feels so sudden and shocking to you, because the Six of Pentacles can deal with situations like that. And we know those Tower moments are these moments that catch you off guard. They're these moments that feel like, oh, okay, I really was not expecting that, whether for good or bad. But obviously in this way, this is a big win, so it's good. So you may feel like, oh, I've received some surprise resources. I received a bonus, or I received a helping hand, or I hit the lotto. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, it feels like a sense of generosity and collaboration around you. Like this is a surprise sense of knowledge coming my way. Some people, they read a book, they hear a quote, and it changes their life. And I feel like that's something that's possible for you, pal number one, where you receive some information and you're like, oh my gosh, this has completely changed my perspective, and now I'm going to move forward in a different way that is better for me. Or like I said before, on a more mundane level, this is like, hey, I'm receiving some bigger tips if I'm like in the service industry, and that's allowed me to buy something that I've always wanted, or save for something, or pay off some debt, or whatever the case may be. But this next big win definitely comes from either changing your perspective or having that material sense of growth and burst that is happening for you. Obviously, the Tower is all about collapsing those beliefs. It's all about having, you know, your world rocked and feeling like, oh, wow, I thought things were one way, but actually they're this way. So this can represent having a transformation when it comes to your state of mind. Maybe you realize that you have more resources available to you to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, and it's feeling like a windfall of happiness and transformation and change. Like you have more connections to actually grow. It's kind of like saying, you know, you've applied for a college, and I'm just giving a random example. This may not be your situation. You've applied for a college and you're like, oh, how am I going to pay for that? Then you realize the college offers certain scholarships, and that you are in line with all the qualifications that meet that scholarship. So it's an opportunity to actually gain that support, and something along the lines of that. You see what I mean? It's an opportunity that is being revealed to you, that you have additional resources to support your initiatives, to support your goals, to support your actions, and things along the lines of that. It's kind of like, you know, you have an opportunity to get a credit card that has travel rewards. Like, oh, I already want to travel the world, but I think it's really expensive. And then you get this card, this this credit card that allows things to be a little bit easier, especially in the future if you collect enough points to travel and do the things that you want to do. There's all sorts of circumstances that are being revealed to you at this moment that are changing, and they become this victorious moment for you. Things start to align. Things start to feel a little bit easier. This sort of breakthrough. And I love that we have this Knight of Swords. Lots of Knight energy, so this is definitely some newness coming in when it comes to this next big win. Possibly something that you've just started, or you've always wanted to start, or you're just now getting into, or whatever the case may be. But I just know Knights represent things that can be new and coming in really fast, right? Especially with the Knight of Wands and Knight of Swords. Maybe not so much if you had the Knight of Pentacles. That'd be a little different. But things are coming in very fast with this next big win. And the Knight of Swords is very interesting because Knight of Swords deals with information. It deals with conversation generally. Sometimes short trips or short little runs to, I wouldn't say runs to the market because that's a little bit too short for the Knight of Swords, especially when we have this Sun in the 5th house. Like I said, third from the third, it's like a little bit of a longer distance from the typical third house energy. So what I see here is maybe going to places that are a little bit further, but they provide different opportunities for you for either happiness, for fun, to support your goals, to expand your mind, to expand your horizons, to charge forward with determination and clarity. Sometimes these two combinations can represent a sense of clarity that's coming for you. Your next big win dealing with having information and being able to realize what it can do for you and how it can benefit you is what I'm trying to say. And what I love here is that if you're trying to make some sort of bold career move, then this would be saying, oh, I see an opportunity in front of me that I didn't know possibly existed. Maybe that's a new career avenue. Maybe that's a new job, a new opportunity, a new role. That's the thing that can happen here. This could, for some of you, even be like a new relationship. Granted, I'm not going to give a time period on the relationship, meaning I'm not going to say whether it's a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, but we know the 5th house connects to romance. It connects to developing those bonds in that way. And so this could be an opportunity and which somebody, reveals their feelings to you. And you're like, oh, wow, I did not know this person felt this way. How do I feel about them? You assess your feelings and you're like, well, maybe I'll give this person a try because, I'm sort of interested. I'm sort of intrigued. I'm a little bit curious, and I do think this person's an attractive person and they're a kind person. So let me give it a try. Let me give it a whirl. So that can more than likely be a big win for you. Especially, if this ends up being this relationship and that is fulfilling and deep and committed and things along the lines of that. This can also represent feeling support, feeling like there's opportunities in which you are receiving things from people without having to like beg for it or something like that, or to put in a huge amount of effort, not zero effort, but like a huge amount of effort, especially with the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands put in some effort. And then they get things back with this 6 of Pentacles here displayed on the cards. And it's more than you imagine. It's like a shocking amount of generosity. And I love how the Tower is also connected to Mars. So it's like we got this Mars energy twice. And when it comes to Mars and these big wins, well, Mars is a very strategic planet. So Mars doesn't have big wins without any effort. So that's why I mentioned that there is some effort on your part. But generally, when we talk about these big wins, we talk about the ambition. Mars relates very deeply to the ambition, to achieving goals, to making sure that you are being seen. It can deal with like craftsmanship. So if you're into hobbies and crafting and whatever the case may be, some sort of outlet in which you express yourself. It could be anything from candle making to pottery to drying flowers, whatever the case may be. It's all about, you know, crafting something. Mars is a very crafty planet. It could even be filmmaking, but whatever the case may be, if you are into some sort of craft, and this would be a big win in that circumstance. Like I said, you get that support. Kind of what I mentioned earlier. Things are kind of like really emphasizing being able to be supported within your ambitions. And if you have been someone who has felt a little bit, lost or having a lack of direction, this provides real direction. This provides real circumstances that feel like you know what you're doing, you know where you're going, and you're going to get the things that you want. It's very interesting, this Mars sort of energy coming together, because quite often we can see this to represent circumstances that feel a little bit, maybe even scary in some sense, because it can be very unexpected, very much like this Tower moment with this Mars and Saturn. But obviously we're not talking about scary things if we're talking about big wins. But one thing that I have seen, if you're talking about big wins in the circumstances, if I just look back at sort of anecdotal experiences, Mars and Saturn, kind of just what I said before, like nothing deters you from your goals. Like you could break an arm and just still be like, well, I still want to write this book. I still want to I don't know why I'm thinking of publishing now. I still want to go ice skating. I still want to take my vacation. Like, it's like nothing deters you from your goals. So this next big win can be very much focused, driven, drive. It's like, I'm not letting any wild, unexpected circumstances pull me back. I'm not doing the, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back thing. Like, I am making sure that I go the full distance no matter what. It's a very driven energy. I'm very much like, I'm going to keep going no matter what energy. I'm going to give it my all type of energy. So this next big win feels like a wind of motivation, feels like a wind of accomplishment. It feels like giving your all to something and then getting these results that are pretty good. Like I said, when I've seen these cards come together, they meet their goals no matter what. And I've also seen on an anecdotal level, sort of like this Tower moment, right? Where you kind of get a bit of information revealed to you that you didn't know before. There have been days when I've seen like Mars and Saturn transit come together, sextile, conjunct, trine, and I have overheard conversations that have revealed information about someone's character or information about someone's intentions. And so you may even find yourself in a situation where you have a better understanding of who it is that you are interacting with, who it is that you may be dealing with within a relationship or partnership, or even on some other level, if you are trying to cultivate a audience or a following or support system, like if you have buyers, then it's a better understanding of the marketplace and who your clientele is and things along the lines of that, better understanding of your friends, family, whatever the case may be. But it's like taking a deep dive into the minds of the people around you, and thus you're able to navigate yourself more clearly. And there's no other way to say that. You're just able to navigate yourself more clearly around those people for good or bad, whatever the case may be. Maybe they reveal something that's positive. That's quite possible. Not everyone's intentions are bad, right? And so now you have a better understanding of that person and your circumstances and things along the lines of that. You may have a better understanding of where you stand and how it is that you can move forward and what is best for you to do to achieve what you want. And that is what I have for you, pal number one. This next big win is definitely dealing with the areas having to do with possibly a little bit of romance, possibly out there. And you're going to know this person's intentions pretty quickly. It's going to be revealed if you're getting the romance on. Areas of creativity, areas, if you have kids, then, you know, maybe your next big win is, you know, them getting some sort of scholarship or joining some sort of team or some surprise acceptance, depending on like schools, like certain schools. If you do like a private school or something like that, you kind of have to be interviewed and all that. And then things along the lines are you're on a wait list and then you get accepted. And that could be like this big win. Like, oh, my kid got accepted into the school. That's amazing, right? Or now they're on this team, or they've entered this contest and they've won. Or maybe you've entered some contest and you've won, right? So that's something that is very much a possibility for you, pal number one. But let me end this reading, and I will get to you guys next time, or I will see you next time, not get to you guys next time. I will see you next time. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose new power, or maybe I'm about to read it for you. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. If you want to ask me a question, join the lives, join the lives, join the lives. Got to say it 3 times so that all of you lovely people can hear. And that is all I have for you, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 2, let's get started on your next big win. We have the King of Pentacles, the King of Wands, the Four of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and Chiron and Neptune. Ooh. But before we get started on that, let's roll these Astro dice to get a better understanding. Let me move this over. Of what is to come. What is this next big win we're going on about? We have the 8th house in Scorpio. Wow. And Neptune, with Neptune. Neptune in the 8th house in Scorpio. Neptune has some messages for you for sure. All right. So first thing that comes to mind with this Neptune in Scorpio, to me, it feels like the next big win could possibly be some sort of investment going well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a financial investment. It can be an investment of your time and of your efforts. When we talk about the 8th house, we obviously talk about things that have to do with, they say, other people's monies, but it's also sort of like other people's values, or even, what's the way to say it? What other people can provide that is valuable to you. Okay, if that makes sense. So when we have this energy of sort of Neptune in the 8th house, what we're talking about here is people providing some sort of either spiritual value or opportunity to make your dreams come true, because Neptune is all about that dream and wish fulfillment. It's about how can I make whatever it is that I am fantasizing about or hoping for into a reality. And these opportunities more than likely will come through other people. This can definitely deal with, you know, the usual, which is addressing any sort of traumas or hurts, or going through a sort of like a dark night spiritual awakening type of energy going on here. That is no doubt, especially when we have this Neptune in Scorpio in the 8th house, that definitely deals with those themes of having to go in deeply, having to reassess, having to think things through. Sometimes even maybe a separation from people who you no longer mesh with as well, because Neptune can sort of dissolve sort of relationships, boundaries, and things along the lines of that. And when we're talking about other people's families and other people's values, what people have, it can feel like, all right, I don't connect with this person on this way, and so I'm pulling away from the people who don't align with my own personal values. What can happen here is also you may feel like you are, at the same time, for some people, it could represent kind of like the opposite, where now you are connecting with people on a more spiritual level, where you feel like you're meeting people who are more aligned with how you feel, what you think, having a stronger spiritual connection. This is a big win because it's almost like finding your soul tribe, the people that you connect with most. You're no longer investing in people who aren't giving you what you need to feel or how you need to align spiritually, if that makes sense. I'm trying to phrase it in a way where you can finally feel like you're connecting with people who bring some sort of intrinsic spiritual value. There we go. That's where I meant to say. Sometimes I stumble across my words. And Neptune's energy is 100% representing connecting to, the spiritual, the divine, the other world, the other side. Thinking of like the big picture, thinking of the oneness of humanity. And this Neptune in the 8th house makes me feel like you're getting opportunities, like I said, to find that group of people who you truly and fully connect with, who feel like they are part of the same sort of spiritual journey as you. And I should say this Queen of Wands should be reversed because it's following the 4 of Cups here. And that is going to change the vibe here with Wands and water coming together. When we think about how Neptune's energy is always trying to dispel boundaries, it's always trying to connect to something higher. It doesn't really believe in, what's the word? Having like, this is your property, this is my property, this is your thing, this is my thing, this is your relationship, this is my relationship. Neptune doesn't believe in any of that. It's all about wanting to merge with the people around you, wanting to connect with the people around you. And in the 8th house, it's like, I want to connect to the other side. I want to connect to a spiritual realm. I want to connect to things that are deeper. I want to invest my time and stuff that is going to awaken my spirit. That is the main message for this big win, where you feel like you're going through some sort of spiritual awakening here. But if we look at the cards here and we look at things on a more practical level, then it's kind of mirroring what I said earlier when it came to what exactly is happening for you in terms of this big win that is coming your way. And we have this windfall of money, as I mentioned before, with the King of Pentacles. We have this new, exciting, maybe not new, we have this directed energy, this energy that is focused on achieving those big dreams, like we already mentioned before. And also, since it's the King of Wands, the 4 of Cups should also be reversed. Girl, I'm slacking today. But this is definitely representing feeling reinvigorated, feeling like you are provided more opportunities that bring you more excitement. Kind of like I said, where you're feeling like your spirit is being ignited. Feeling like you are having opportunities to invest your time in things that matter to you, and that you don't have to put up such a fight, that you don't have to put up such a so much strife and challenges and efforts into something. It doesn't feel like you're on this uphill battle anymore. It feels like things are coming a little bit more easy, that things are happening with ease, that you are able to experience what life has to offer without trying as hard. It feels like there's a moment like that that's coming. This sort of win, or this sort of wish that you've wanted. Maybe it's multiple wishes. Maybe it's like multiple little small things, because we have Chiron and Neptune. And when we have Chiron and Neptune, this can be like a wounded dream, like an unfulfilled dream, something that you wanted to happen but didn't happen. It's like when, you're a kid and you wanted some toy for Christmas and then you never got that toy. And then as an adult, you have that Neptune Chiron wound of like, oh, I wish I had gotten that toy. And then you fulfill that dream by getting yourself that toy as an adult or something like that. But essentially, this is this unfulfilled sense of, I didn't get what I want. I did not get this dream fulfilled. I didn't get my happily ever after that I wanted. I didn't get that celebratory moment. But now you're getting like either one big moment where you're getting something that feels like a dream come true, that feels like you are having more excitement and fulfillment in your life. And it's happening with ease. And it can be one big thing, or it can be like a bunch of different small things or medium-sized things, whatever the case may be. But it's like they're happening easier. These opportunities are coming to you. This is your life. It's like the universe is sending you packages. Instead of you trying to pick up a phone and call the universe is calling you. They're saying, here, please pick up the phone. I have something for you. I have a gift for you. And honestly, sometimes this can represent sort of like maybe attending an event, like a once-in-a-lifetime event. Maybe there's some concert or festival or cultural experience that you've always wanted to go to, and now finally you get that experience, right? It's kind of like, oh, I got tickets to go to Coachella, and it was through a friend, and so I didn't have to pay anything. Or if you were a content creator, then someone sponsored you to go, and things along the lines of that. That's like a very specific example, but it really doesn't have to be that. Really, the focus is on manifesting this long-term dream that you have wanted to come true, and it is happening for you. Now, we all know that, like I said, 8th house deals with those sort of financial successes and things along the lines of that. I don't necessarily believe it may be a promotion or something like that, because I usually get different cards for a promotion. But I will throw it out there for a small percentage of you. It's not the main theme here of like, oh, I've been promoted. But I do know Scorpio and 8th house energy can represent a up-leveling when it comes to finances. And obviously, you can up-level your finances by being promoted. So I'll throw that out there for like 15% of you who may experience that bump, who may experience that promotion. And, you know, I have gotten the death card to represent promotion. So I'm going to throw that out there and say some of you are going to be promoted. It's going to be a more of a smaller percent of you. Like I said, 15%, maybe 20. This can also represent, like, if you have been an entrepreneur and you have been pushing yourself to achieve success, now you get this windfall of success. You get this final big break. You know, what's happening? You get a burst of customers. If you're a content creator, you go viral. If you just kind of post for fun, you get a bunch of likes on a post or something along the lines of that. That is the energy of this. It's like, okay, finally people are paying attention, and I didn't even do anything. Like, I didn't even have to put in much effort. I didn't have to try as hard. This can definitely represent, if you're in a partnership, getting to know someone on a more intimate level. Now, how or the situation that is unfolding when it comes to getting to know this person, that's going to be different from everyone. Meaning you get to know, maybe some of you get to know a little bit more about their history. Some of you get to know a little bit more about their traumas. Some of you just get to know more about their interests, how they think, how they move. But the 8th house 100% is like you get to know the people around you just a little bit more, okay? Just a little bit, right? I mean, obviously I'm being like sarcastic. You get to know them a lot. And when we see that here, maybe you've been trying to push down someone's walls and you find that you have been coming up against a wall and you're like, man, it is so hard to get to know this person. Finally, this person opens up, they let their guard down, and you get to see behind the curtain. You get to see who they are inside, and you get to know a little bit more about them. So that's for you who are in a relationship, or if you're dating someone. 100% this combination of cards represents being able to connect to someone and on that intimate level in that way. Some of you have had some strategic plans that you have been pushing towards, and you have felt like things haven't been going the way that you would have liked them to go, especially with this Four of Cups. This Four of Cups, when it's reversed, it's like, oh, finally something has interest me. Finally something has sparked a little fire in me. Finally something has caught my eye, which leads me to believe that before, you may have been given opportunities that weren't that interesting, that didn't catch your eye, that weren't fulfilling. And now you're finally getting that in front of you, and you're getting the opportunity to move in that direction. And like I said, it's coming more with ease, because the Queen of Wands reverse, is like, the party's over, my feet are tired, I want to go home, but I don't want to be rude, so I'm going to just sit in the corner and wait a little bit for more people to leave so that I can finally make my exit as well. She's done. She's tired. She's not going to put in that effort. She's already said her highs to everyone. She was already on the dance floor. She was already, you know, flirting with people, having fun, having a good time. Now she's tired, so she's not doing all that. And that's kind of like your energy too. Like I said, this next big win is coming to you without a lot of effort. And like I said, it does pique your interest. It does pique your curiosity. You are invested in it. You do want it, but you're like, I'm not going to really work that hard for it, because I've already been working hard. I've already been this this King of Wands here. I've already been this King of Pentacles. I've set the groundwork. If it wants to come, it wants to come. It's like you're letting the universe do the work for you. I see that being your next big win. Your next big win is prioritizing yourself. Your next big win is to ensure that you're not being burnt out, striving to break down someone's walls, or push for, you know, financial freedom, or push for a new promotion, or anything along the lines of that, or push for some goal or success or dream. You're just like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to make the effort. If it wants to come to me, it can come to me. So there's a lot of manifestation on your part. There's a lot of you letting the universe take the reins. Like you're saying, I put the energy out there, and if it wants to come to me, it comes to me. So it makes me feel like this next big win has to do with something that you have been manifesting. Your manifestations are paying off. The things that you have been thinking about, the things that you've put in your energy before in the past, you're finally getting them to come to you. For some of you, this could be a lucrative partnership. For others of you, it's more so like a spiritual glow up. For some of you, this is more so a boost in confidence. Like not trying as hard and recognizing that your worth is inherent and you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. There is a lot of personal growth here when we have these cards. Some of you are winning big by recognizing your value and how others see you. Some of you are winning big by understanding that you're an amazing person, that you have a lot to offer, that you have a great head on your shoulders, that you are beautiful naturally without even trying and putting a lot of effort, and you're someone who deserves to be respected and cared for, and you deserve to get your desires met. Some of you are winning big by transforming your mentality to be that of someone who is kingly, queenly. You know, it's very much like, hey, I'm the one who should be coveted. Things should come to me. People should be talking to me. Opportunities should be coming to me. And because you're switching that mentality for some of you may already have this, things are starting to flow easier toward you. The big win is the ease of the situation, of the ease of getting things that you want. And then the last thing I'll talk about is because 8th house deals with inheritance and things along the lines of that. Obviously, this big win can represent some sort of inheritance, some sort of opportunity coming your way in terms of financial things. Really, 8th house is any money that is not like solely owned by you. It's like this is not money in your savings account. So a Roth IRA would be 8th house. CDs would be 8th house. Investments would be 8th house. Red stocks would be 8th house. Loans could be 8th house, you know. Inheritance from someone else, that is 8th house. So it's all of those categories. Those are the things that are 8th house, right? It definitely represents how other people move in the world as well, and how you see them sort of enacting or acting. Okay, so like if you have an 8th house transit, and let's say it was like Mars 8th house, you may see a lot of people be a little bit more feisty, right? Because it's like, oh, they value that more so like aggressive style of communication or action or something along the lines of that. So this is what I mean by other people's values. And so when we have this Neptune 8th house, your next big win could be something along the lines of receiving more care and more empathy from others, interacting with people who take your needs into account, interacting with people who recognize that, you know, you're a human being too, and you deserve consideration. And so you could be coming across people like that. People who are open to making connections. People who are not, you know, ignoring opportunities for connection in front of them. They're not closed off. Not that the 4 of Cups is just closed off for closed off sake. You know, they're reflecting, they're going back. But now they're more open. So now you're encountering more people who you can make connections with, who you can form long-lasting relationships with, who you can connect with on a deeper plane. So for some of you, this is an opportunity towards friendship and connection and love. And I think I'm going to leave it there because this next big win has a lot of layers for you, pal number 2. And I think we've done a good job at kind of listing all of the layers in which they are going to happen. But it really does, a strong theme is about connecting to others and having those dreams that went unfulfilled coming true. Okay, so whatever it is that has been on your heart, obviously Pentacles relate to job, money, career direction, or just generally some goal that you may have. It may not even be career related, right? Some big goal. Like you could have a big goal to travel to Australia. That could be the Pentacles 10th house, right? And then we also have the Wands representing like the body, the love house, education, travel. Like that's very wand-like energy. So this can possibly represent getting into a dream school, dream vacation, going out and seeing the world, having some glow up, okay? Granted, you know, Queen of Wands is not really the most, reversed, is not really the most glow up card. She's more so, I'm willing to accept my natural beauty, but the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles can represent a bit of a glow up, but they like to focus more on external circumstances and things that they can do, more like tasks and responsibilities, in my experience and how the cards and the universe communicates to me. But, you know, maybe for a small bit of you, it's like, oh, I'm going to stop being as polished, and I'm going to, maybe polish isn't the right word, but I'm going to stop being like, oh, I care so much about getting my nails done every week and spending $80 on that. Or I care a lot about getting my hair done and spending $300, $400 on that. Like, it's like I'm pulling away from that. And I'm just like saying, does this align with me? Does this make a lot of sense? Or am I taking on the values of somebody else? And does this truly align with who I am? And things along the lines of that. That's another message that is happening here. But we know those big win moments are definitely relating to obviously practical real world things that you experience and all of the areas that I just spoke about. But mainly it's focused on the wand type of energy, which is what I said, you know, the physical self, the physical body, traveling, education, love, romance, hobbies, creativity, or even just free time. Those are the main areas when it comes to that. And I've already talked about how the 8th house and all of those transformations and the finances and connections with other people. All right. So that is what I have for you, pal. Number 2. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile. Or maybe I'm not the reader for you. But either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget, if you want to ask me a question, join the lives. And the time is posted for the lives on the community tab as always. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 3. Let's get started on your reading your next big win. We have the 5 of Cups. The 9 of Cups. The 5 of Coins, the Devil, and Uranus and Neptune. Interesting spread that we have here for you, pal number 3. But before we get started, I do want to bring out these Astro dice. I'm on a roll with these Astro dice, no pun intended. And let's see what we end up with. Okay, we have Libra, 2nd house, and that is K2. K2 in the 2nd house in Libra. Wow, I think that fits with your theme so well, especially with this 5 of Cups. So, when we have your next big win, one thing that we obviously want to talk about here is the area when it comes to finances. So when we have this K2 in the 2nd house, what I see here is more than likely, it's like you're letting go of bad financial habits that you may have developed over the years. Because K2 doesn't want to focus on the material world so much. K2 may not be the best financial planner. K2 is just like, none of this matters. You know, we're all spiritual beings. But since we all live in the reality and the real world here where money matters, when I see this K2 going through the 2nd house, what we have here is sort of letting go of worries regarding finances and spending. And for me, it makes it feel like there's likely to be some sort of windfall in terms of finances, meaning I'm not necessarily saying that all of a sudden you're going to be rich or anything like that. But really what we have here is just an alleviation of stress regarding this area. Okay, I just want to say that K2 is very carefree. K2 does not care about, you know, wanting to, wanting to accumulate all the wealth in the world. Don't get me wrong. You'll see K2 people definitely have a lot of money, possibly even be quote unquote gold diggers or whatever the heck may be. But most of all, K2 wants to ascend to a higher world, to a higher level, to a higher place, to a higher being. And so I feel like more than likely your next big win is going to relate to letting go of any sort of financial worries or financial obligations that have been stressing you out. Maybe it is an alleviation of debt. Maybe you're paying off, you know, some sort of like credit card debt that you wanted to pay off. Possibly when we have this here, it's like you're cutting back on expenses that you don't need. It doesn't sound like a big win, but ultimately that can be a big win. You are narrowing the landscape of what is valuable for you, what is important to you, okay? You're saying, I no longer want to have to deal with any stressful situations when it comes to financial burdens, okay? Or maybe not, I want to deal with less stress when it comes to financial burdens. I want to say that. For me, there is a focus on what truly matters to you. And I think because you're going to be taking this critical look, this critical eye, because K2 is very critical, when it comes to the area of money, finances, and things along the lines of that, you're going to get a better understanding of your budget. If you have a budget, then you'll create a budget. And you have a better understanding of what it is that you truly need, what it is that you truly desire, what it is that helps you to keep going, and you'll get rid of the things that do not matter to you. K2 in this second house can also represent, like, it represents people with Libra. Sorry, I would say that. That's what I meant to say. K2 with this Libra. It represents people, obviously, in relationships and things along the lines of that. But my first instinct was the marketplace. My first instinct was to think about, like, the marketplace is just areas that you can spend money. Like if I go to Walmart, if I go to some sort of grocery store, then that is me being in the Libra element. That's me going into the marketplace and finding out what it is that I want and buying it. So when we have K2 kind of in this Libra area, being this object of letting go and releasing, then to me it's like saying you are, one, changing the way that you buy things. So one, you could be changing that to be, I'm going to support certain businesses that align with my values, because K2 can be kind of like a little more realistic. So you could say, oh, I'm going to only buy ethical diamonds. I don't know if why that came up first, or companies that practice green environmentalism, sustainability. I'm only going to support that. And all these other different causes that it can be. I'm going to support companies that support DEI. If they don't support DEI, I'm not going to buy from them, right? It's aligning what it is that you value to your spending. And then the second thing that I wanted to hop on board with that, kind of what we were saying earlier, is letting go of certain places that you may buy things and saying, I don't think I really need to spend $10 on eggs. I think I'm going to go to this other store that sells things for cheaper. Or I don't really need to spend $20 on this, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking what costs $20 these days. So I don't know, headphones can be, headphones have a wide range. I don't need to spend $50 on headphones. I can buy these $10 headphones and I'll be perfectly fine. So it's like adjusting your spending to the things that truly matter to you. And that is a big win, pal, number 3. I know it doesn't sound like that, but in the long run, these things, these little things pay off. And it definitely leaves you with some extra money to spend, some extra money in your pocket. And I think that's where these cards are sort of lying and coming into play, because the Devil and the 5 of Coins, I'll admit, when I first drew them, it kind of threw me off because you don't normally see these two cards, especially in the 5 of Cups, as a big win. But to be honest, it actually makes a lot of sense, because this is all about sort of letting go of behaviors that are toxic or not good for you, or pulling you into a bad situation, or just basically behaviors that are not positive and do not add increased value into your life. They reduce the value of your life. They reduce the quality of your life. And so when we see this Devil and the 5 of Coins, it's like you're releasing that. You're getting rid of that. You're saying, I no longer want to have to deal with this in my life. I'm dealing with less financial burdens. I'm dealing with less financial stress. I'm dealing with less struggles when it comes to confronting any sort of fears or stressors when it comes to money, or even adopting new habits like we just discussed regarding financial situations. And I'm talking about finances a lot because that is a main thing. We got the second house, we have K2, we have 5 of Pentacles, we have the Devil. The vibes here are heavily financial, but it's not the only thing, okay? But we're going to get into the other stuff later. But it does represent letting go of those fears. If you have felt like these tight constraints, these tight burdens, this heaviness when it comes to money, meaning you don't get the opportunities that you would like, meaning you want a different job that pays more, or you want a different job that has a different environment where it provides you more freedom, like a remote role, or even just having more autonomy, no more micromanaging and things along the lines of that. If you want a job that is just part-time and doesn't require you to work 40, 50 hours a week, this is what it's dealing with. It's being able to find an area of life, particularly in the realm of finances, structures, jobs, and things along the lines of that material wealth. It's saying that you're letting go of the fears that, one, that you'll never get what you want, two, that you have to stay stuck in these environments, that you have to be at a job you dislike, or you have to accept a certain amount of income because that's all you're being offered. You don't have it in you to return to school or take a course, or you don't have time or money to invest in yourself. All of that sort of mentality and all of those situations are going out of the window. You're letting go of these old narratives. You're letting go of these old situations. If you are used to grinding away, and I know some of you are, because, we've spoke on our channel. I love talking to astronauts, and you tell me all of your struggles and the things that you've been through. I know a lot of you are going through certain situations where you feel that heaviness of the financial burdens, where you feel the heaviness of bills and trying to balance being able to enjoy your life as well as being able to be a responsible person and take care of yourself and things along the lines of that. I know that you're going through this, and I know that you're like, I'm trying to find a job that allows me to have that mental health, that has to have positive mental health, is what I'm trying to say, that keeps me healthy, that brings fulfillment, that brings joy into my life. And it feels like you're stuck in that cycle. But your next big win is that you're getting out of it. You're getting out of that cycle. You're no longer saying that this is the only thing that you can accept, because you're no longer accepting it. You're letting it go. You're saying, I'm sorry, no more. You have drawn that boundary. You have drawn that line. And because of that, you're going to get a lot of happiness coming your way. You're breaking free of these limitations that you may have set for yourself. And some of them may not even be limitations you've set for yourself. Some of them may just have to be that you have gone into a situation, you wanted the best to happen, but you get stuck with toxic coworkers, or you get stuck with a boss who has poor communication skills, or you get stuck at a company that doesn't provide you good benefits and things along the lines of that. And then you're having to work in that role for a while until you find the next role, or you quit, which some people do. They quit, and then they are unemployed for a period, and then they have to sort of desperately seek another role, and then that role ends up being just as toxic as the last one, if not more toxic, right? Because you don't have the time to actually be able to sit around and wait, because those bills need to get paid. Like, you need to make money, you need to survive, right? And the cycle continues, but you're not doing that anymore. You're being more strategic. You're moving to the next place. And this doesn't have to be about money, guys. Like, it really doesn't, because with these cards here, we can go talk about the real layers of the second house, which is your self-worth. It's how you value yourself. It's what you're willing to accept. It's what you are willing to strive for. It's how you think about yourself. It's how you feel about yourself. It's how you nurture yourself. And the Five of Pentacles can deal with low self-esteem. And K2 in the second house, that can deal with, I just don't understand who I am, what I value, what's important to me. You're making all these sacrifices, and you're doing all of these things you think that will benefit you or please others. In return, you expect them to treat you with some type of respect, and then they don't, right? K2 in the second house can be very much like that. Very like harsh sort of environment of creating all of these, unequal dynamics, which we can have here with this K2 in Libra in the second house. These unequal dynamics where you may be giving your all to someone or something, but it is not giving you anything in return. And this is all about rejecting that. This is about knowing your worth. It's like, I'm no longer going to be in this servitude position because I am somebody who is of value and I should be compensated for my time, whether that's compensation with respect, meaning like, you know, you have friends, family, people who you are dating or in relationships who respect you and give you that in return. Or when it comes to, like I said, the money thing where you are providing a certain amount of service and you expect to be paid a certain amount or treated a certain way. It needs to be the right environment. And really, I do see you getting rid of that toxic job, getting rid of that relationship that doesn't treat you right. You are no longer doing this anymore. You're no longer doing this. You're no longer settling for people who don't provide you for what you need in a relationship. And they may not even be bad people. They may just be people who are just not right for you. You're no longer settling for that. You're no longer wasting your time on friends or family who ask things for you, but then when you need something, they're nowhere to be found. You're no longer staying in roles that don't suit you and add no value to you. If you're like, I can't grow in this role, you're gone. You're already doing that and you're being smart about it. We know that here because, you know, even though the devil card can be seen as this oppressive force and things along the lines of that, it is a very smart card. It is a very strategic card. And that's you in a way. You're like, I'm going to beat them at their own game if they need me to because I'm smart and I've learned the lesson and I know how people move. This Five of Cups here is very interesting because to me, it's like the mourning, like literally mourning, grieving that part of you that was maybe a little bit more naive or didn't have the same standards or even just that time that you may felt like you have wasted. I want to let you know that it is not wasted time. No lessons in this life or no experiences are wasted time. Once you have realized you've gotten to this place where you need change, which is what's happening now, you're going to move forward and you're going to get what you want. I mean, the second card here was the Nine of Cups. So to me, it doesn't feel like this long drawn out period. It feels like a period where you are, soon as you flip the switch, soon as you sort of like grieve that period of your life, or maybe you're even doing it now where you're just like, man, I can't believe I wasted all those time in those roles who didn't appreciate me and didn't give me much or didn't pay me right or didn't provide me benefits. I can't believe that I wasted so much time there. It's time for me to move on. And you're ready for that. You're ready for that and it's going to happen because this is your next big win. You're saying goodbye to the old, stressful, toxic work environment. Goodbye to the I'm not good enough sort of mentality. If you had that sort of imposter syndrome mentality, like, oh my gosh, like how did I even get accepted or into this amazing school or amazing job, or how you see a job application, you're like, oh, they won't even accept me. I only meet 30% of the requirements. You've gotten rid of that. You're applying anyway. If you're just how did this amazing person find me? They're so great. And do I even deserve to be with someone like that? You're getting rid of that. You're like, this person's lucky to be with me. So all of this sort of mentality is going out of the window. This is a transformation of your self-worth. And then, and in turn, this is a transformation of your material world. It's actually being reflected in your material world. I want to say that. It's like you're growing from the hardships and you are emerging stronger than ever. You really are. I want to say that for you, pal number 3. It really is this period of, you're coming out of this period of lack, this period of lack of security in whatever area that is. This feeling like your worth might be tied to your possessions or your titles or who you know or your network. That's gone. It's no longer there. This feeling of like you've missed out on some important part of life, like life is passing you by and maybe you see other people getting married or having kids or buying their dream home or dream condo or whatever. You're like, that doesn't matter to me. That I don't even care about that. We're all on our own path. And as a result, you're going to get what you want. This is your next big win and it's going to be amazing. 9 of Cups, that's a dream come true. That is 100% a dream come true. And one thing I love about K2 in the second house is, especially when we have Libra here, it's almost like you're receiving some sort of financial support or financial backing. K2, like I said, it's not that go-getter ambition type of planet. Not to say that they can't, K2 people cannot be go-getters and ambitious, but the general nature of K2 wants to sort of like meditate somewhere on a field. Like that's why you have these like K2 cult leaders. They're like, get away from society. Society's draining you. It's toxic, da da da, right? This K2 mindset wants to pull away from the hustle and bustle. And so it makes me think when we see this K2 in the second house, that you're more than likely going to, what's the word? Well, first, you're going to maybe spend a little bit less time with family, because K2 in the second house kind of puts some distance between you and family. So I don't know what's going on with your family situation, or if you just feel like they haven't supported you in a certain way, but it's just like maybe emotional distancing or physical distancing, whatever the case may be. Maybe you just move away or something like that. But the second thing that it does is it can bring about like financial support, or having more than one stream of income, or like I said, someone else is backing your income. So maybe you two, one of you or this pal gets like a rich boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that, or a sugar mama. But I'm just throwing it out there because K2 does have like sugar mama vibes. I'm not gonna lie, sugar mama, sugar dad vibes. Like it's like, it attracts those type of people who might want to take care of them. So I do want to throw that out there. And so it feels like there's some backing, some support here, some opportunity here where someone is giving you some sort of windfall of money, or some alleviation of some burden. Like, oh, I'm going to pay off this thing, or, oh, this loan was forgiven, or your credit goes up, or something, or whatever the case may be. There's like some sort of alleviation of financial burdens, financial restraints. Okay. I do want to throw that in there. I know people who have K2 in the second house, and for sure they have had support from other people when it comes to financially. But I just want to throw that out there. But like I said, also, like I said, I've seen K2 in the second house, like when it gets, what's the word, ignited, triggered, something along the lines of that, it can bring like a random sum of money to a person, like investments go well or something like that, like they take off, right? Or like I said, the support from others, hit the lotto, whatever the case. K2 in the second house, I think I've mentioned before, K2 kind of like randomly gives opportunities of money with not having to work hard for it. And if you look at the cards here, yeah, the devil can represent hard work, but I think in this case it's more so about like letting go of that having to prove yourself mentality and things along the lines of that, and being able to be open up for circumstances that allow you to attract things with more ease. A mindset that is more open to receiving things and understanding that you are good enough for the things that you desire. You know, don't feel like you have to measure up to some standard to get what you want, or meet some sort of qualification to get what you want. There are people who are getting and achieving the things that you want every day, and they are maybe not even as qualified or even as deserving or something along the lines of that. Life can be very random, and it is very unfair, right? And when we have this K2 in Libra, the house of balance and fairness, it's like saying there is none. There is none. It does not exist. It is not there. It is not something that needs to necessarily make sense. It just happens. And so, like I said, there may be some sort of opportunity or windfall of money happening here. Now, this Uranus and Neptune aspect is very, very interesting, because when we think of Uranus and Neptune, Uranus is that planet of freedom and excitability and change and transformation and unpredictability. And Neptune is this planet of dreaminess and having to go into this spiritual world and reflect on things, and nothing has any strict boundaries. So to me, it feels like you're allowing yourself to see what is possible, and you're opening up your mind to what can be accomplished simply because you are manifesting it, or just by living your life without these restraints or strict thoughts. By opening up your mind to a more positive headspace, for a headspace that feels a bit more so free, like you have more possibilities, that you can dream big. You're allowing yourself to dream big. And because you're allowing yourself to dream big, you're attracting more circumstances to you that are going to be more positive and bring about more joy and fulfillment within your life. Sorry for that, bound number 3. So what I was saying about this Uranus and Neptune energy coming on here is it's very open-minded. It keeps like a broad type of world view. And so this next big win has to do with opening up your world of possibilities. Maybe even doing things differently, quite possibly. I remember, I think the last time I had these two planets sort of ignited was more so a work from home type of day situation for me. And that was a little bit of an odd situation out. I don't know what to call that. It was just unusual for my normal routine. But it was that Uranus and Neptune energy both being ignited in my chart, right? So what that makes me believe is quite possibly you're opening yourself up to roles that may possibly be remote or hybrid, or generally they just require like less in-person interactions, because Uranus always represents that new energy coming in. Uranus doesn't like the past. It doesn't like to stick to things that are the same old, and neither does K2. K2 in a way actually acts to like Uranus. Don't get me wrong, K2 can be very much like, let's go towards the past and things on the lines of that, but I've seen a lot of K2 people be highly innovative and inventive, right? But when we have this Uranus and Neptune combination, it's representing of trying to think of a big picture, trying to think of a new vision for the future, more integrated, more having to do with being international. And possibly this represents being more involved in maybe different communities outside of your norm. And in that case, it's like, oh, okay, a different work environment, or a different environment to have fun, or a different environment to enjoy yourself in, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're into taking dance classes, maybe you're into fitness classes, but whatever the case may be, it's a more global, more changeable, different, outside of the box circumstances or environment. It doesn't have to be as extreme. I remember another time, I think Uranus and Neptune was actually doing a lot of sextiling to each other back in October 2024. And I know in America that was sort of like the I think the vice presidential debates. I don't know if the actual presidential debates were coming on in October. Trying to think of other news events. That's what I remember from October in terms of world events. This is sad for me. On a personal level, this sort of, I think Trump was like indicted for something as well. But that was something in terms of world news. But it was definitely new, right? It was definitely new. We had this type of new vibe that was a little bit more, I don't know, I guess childish, the word I'm going to think of when it comes to sort of the energies people were expecting from the presidential candidates, because Trump is so known for being so sort of out there and sort of this underdog sort of candidate, this new blood that's coming in, and that's what we have here when it comes to the sort of energy here. And it makes me feel like this big win has to do with something new being integrated, with some new circumstance happening, with some new environment coming along. And it could be something simple like work from home, or it could be something simple like meeting different characters that are outside of your norm. Maybe you're used to, like I said, this sort of more toxic environment, and now you get someone that appreciates, more autonomy, more freedom, has a little bit more respect, things along the lines of that, more serious about how they present themselves to the world. It's just a higher vibe is what I want to say. And on a personal level, you know, for me, when I was having like the Uranus Neptune things going on in my world, I think I went to some sort of like international food sort of festival, which I had never been to before. At least that's what I remember from October. I think I'm remembering that right. I could be getting the dates wrong for that, but that is what I remember from that era. Okay, so I just really see that it's all about sort of opening up, expanding your world, venturing out, being able to experience a new perspective, new life, new things that are happening for you, new experiences. It just feels like there is more freedom to be had, that you're no longer like tying yourself down to what it is that you've been experiencing, which doesn't look pleasant from the cards. But all of this is ending, and your next big win is going to allow for some breathing room, some mental pressures, some letting go of that, some more of enjoying yourself, some maybe up leveling, whatever the case may be, trying new experiences. But this is all breaking free from these structures that we had before. This Nine of Cups is absolutely standing out, is like the central card of this deck, and it's letting me know that you have a lot of happiness and fulfillment coming on the horizon. Okay, it's coming for you, and I don't know how to emphasize that enough. And it's definitely something that's material and tangible for a lot of you. Not always, but for a lot of you. So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. Hopefully this resonates. If not, you know, feel free to pick a new pile, or maybe I'm about to read it for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget to check out the lives to get your question answered. If you are dying to ask me a question, all you have to do is join those lives, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 4. Let's get into your next big win. We have the Queen of Cups, the Sun, the Five of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles reversed, and Jupiter and Pluto. Let's see if we can get these cards in the frame. And before we get started, I do want to roll some Astro dice. Yes, that is right. Let's get into this pig. We have the second house, Gemini, and the Sun. Ooh, the Sun in the second house in Gemini. Wow. Talking about your values. I thought I reversed this. Maybe that's a message. It's more so grinding away, less so than I am taking a break from working. Grinding a little harder. Which makes sense if we have the Sun in Gemini, the house of efforts and skill sets and upskilling. That is what Gemini is all about. It's here to learn. It's here to grow. So your next big win, it's like you're taking some sort of craft or hobby, job, or goal to the next level. You're implementing what it is that you have been researching, studying, focusing on, and you're developing it and you're transforming it. And that makes sense, especially when we have Jupiter and Pluto. Jupiter's super expansive type energy, and Pluto, this planet of transformation and the occult and knowledge and deep researching and learning. It is about expanding your horizons, thinking deeper, no longer being on this superficial plane or level. So this next big win of yours is, like I said, you could be taking this hobby to a business. You could be focusing on, okay, I have all these certifications and certificates. Now I'm going to be an entrepreneur and sell my services, or I'm going to find a different job. You could be someone who is, you know, being very calculated about how you go about your love life. And I say love life because we have that Queen of Cups, and you know, Queen of Cups loves love. She's a lover girl, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm taking all of this past historical data and I'm looking at my relationships and how I have experienced love and connection in the past, and I'm putting that in action, or I'm taking a deep assessment of what it is that I desire and what it is that I want, and how can I make sure that I'm getting the things that I want. This sun in the second house is very interesting type of energy, because I often get the sun in the second house to represent having a lot of a stressful type of home environment. And it may not even be a home environment for all of you. Sometimes it's like stressful finances, or stressful, I meant to say family, but man, maybe it is finances, or stressful family members who may getting to you. And when we have this type of energy, what I see here is you're breaking away from that. You're getting away from that. You're saying, no more of this. How can I make sure that I avoid these people in my life that are not good for me? How can I avoid this financial situation and really take a look? The sun shines a light on anything that is just a little bit wonky, you know, even things that are good. It just shines a light. It's the sun. And when we talk about the sun being in the second house, obviously I made a little Freudian slip and I said finances, so maybe that's a message for you guys. For some of you, you're taking a very methodical look at your spending and your finances, and it's going to allow you to blossom and to make better choices, or to even make more money and create more avenues of income. The Eight of Coins, they have accomplished a lot. When the Eight of Coins is reversed, because the cards were, you know, playing this game for me where I thought I reversed it, but then it came back upright again. But, you know, to me, it's like I'm taking a deeper dive into this. I'm being even more detailed than I probably even need to be. I am combing through every single hair and layer of my finances, how I'm spending, what I'm spending it on. Let me create a budget. If I spent, you know, $1 on a parking meter, I am taking note of that. Like, it is very, very tedious. And something tells me that you're going through this tedious process. For some of you, it's self-sabotaging behavior. Maybe in the past, you've had a little bit more emotional spending. You've been overstimulated. You've been stressed out. And you've wanted to make yourself feel better. And you may have bought things to help you make yourself feel better. But now you're realizing that's not the path for you. And it's time to expand those finances. It's actually really interesting because Jupiter in the 8th house, it depends on when it's activated, but ultimately it brings you, let me start from the beginning because sometimes I get ahead of myself. Jupiter is connected to the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is about the ebb and flows of life, ups and downs. When you have Jupiter and Pluto, the planet that represents this big, deep belly of finances, what it does is it brings you through all of the different cycles of financial life, okay? So you can experience being the brokest of brokes, and then you can experience being someone who is living the high life, okay? But whatever it is, Jupiter is bringing you knowledge. It's expanding and it's growing and it's building upon it. So it gives you a lot of information about the financial world that maybe the average person wouldn't know. So if you see somebody with Jupiter in the 8th house, or Jupiter conjunct Pluto, or Jupiter aspect Pluto, at some point in their life, especially obviously when they get older, because Jupiter matures, all planets mature, they'll know a lot about finances. They'll know a lot about spending. They'll know a lot about how the system works. You might want to come to them to ask for help on your taxes. So what this is doing for me is like your next big win is a big financial win. And some of it's to do with your efforts, but with Jupiter and Pluto here, some of it's luck. Some of it's receiving help. Jupiter is a generous planet. It is my Santa Claus planet. It is my here to give you a little help. Jupiter is very generous. especially if you had like a Jupiter and K2 thing going on here, then that would be very, very generous. But Jupiter and Pluto, it's going to bring about a lot of opportunities to receive that financial success. I'm only saying financial because it was like this weird Freudian slip here. So I'm guessing the universe is like, no, talk about this. So it's giving you more opportunities in that area. And I want to say a lot of the opportunities are going to be something that you've enacted, something you've pushed for. And I say that because we have the sun twice. And the sun is all about creating avenues for itself for independence. It is about pushing itself forward. It's like, yeah, you can help me out, which you will get help with Jupiter and Pluto here, whether you like it or not. But it's also about like, how can I do things for myself? How can I live on my own? How can I not depend on anyone else? One thing it does when it comes to this Five of Swords energy, especially in the area of finances, is it shines a light on the areas in which are weak for you. We get the Five of Wands to obviously represent, battles and people being shady and stabbing people in the back and things along the lines of that. But sometimes it's self-sabotaging, especially in this spread here. It gives me the energy of a little bit of self-sabotage and not having those sort of strong boundaries when it comes to the financial incomes. It's kind of interesting. The first thing that came to mind when I saw this Eight of Pentacles reversed is like being an artist without a backer, right? Like you're depending on your own finances and efforts to bring about that success and not having the support you need. Well, with this going on here, you're finally getting the support you need. And not only that, but you are creating this sort of safety net for yourself so that if you ever get into a rut, that you will be able to bounce back, that you'll have the means to support yourself. I think I read something like the average, like someone who's like in their late 20s, mid 30s, they don't even have like $1,000 saved up to cover an emergency expense, right? And that's a problem because an emergency expense may cost you a lot more than a grand, right? So for you, it's like you're creating the safety net for yourself. And not only that, but now you're getting more opportunities and more momentum to move forward in that area. Now, for the others of you, if you've got some problems with some people in your life, particularly those, like I said, could be family. Mainly I get the second house for family, but sometimes it's like people you're dating in a way, because Pentacles can connect to like a physical sort of body, and the second house is obviously connected to Pentacles. It's an earth sign. It's like something physically is there. So it can be hobbies, it could be friends. So because some people's friends feel like family, right? So if you may feel like, oh, my friends they keep inviting me out to these things, and I don't got the money to cover it, and I'm gonna need them to stop inviting me out because I feel like I want to go, but then they put this peer pressure on me to go, but I would need to stay home and save money. Now you're putting those boundaries in place and say, hey, I need to actually stay home. Like I can only afford to spend this much amount of money. Second thing that comes in is if you've had some sort of in-house fighting, some sort of shadiness going about where you felt this lack of support. Because like I said, that Eight of Pentacles reverse is like, oh, I'm an artist without a backer, and my friends and family aren't supporting me. They don't believe in my dream. They don't believe that I can do it. They think, I'm just another 40-year-old rap artist selling mixtapes on the street or something like that. People look down on people like that. And they're like, they don't see my dream going anywhere. Well, now it's like saying it doesn't matter what they see because I see my vision, and I'm going to remove the people from my life who are not supporting me, who do not have my back, who are not on my side. Or this can represent having a conversation with those individuals, because it's not always cutting people off. Sometimes you're just saying, hey, like, I don't feel like you're being supported. And another thing with this next big win, maybe you haven't even fully noticed that you haven't had the support you need, but with this sun and the Five of Swords coming through, it's like saying, hey, I'm shining a light on your enemies. I'm shining a light on the people who really aren't there for you, who don't really have your back, who don't really have a lot of good things to say. A lot of times I get the sun in the second house to represent someone having a lot of anger and frustrations. And so Quite possibly, maybe your next big win is to have a healthy avenue to take out your frustrations, to take out your feelings, which you may have been bottling up, or you may have been putting out there in a way that hasn't been beneficial to you, similar to what I said before, where you're like, oh, I'm overstimulated, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, and then I go buy something to make myself feel better. I saw this video once of a woman said, oh, like these high-paying jobs come with a shopping addiction because they're so stressful. And so maybe you have a lot of stress going on in your life, and now your next big win is to handle that stress, is to balance that stress, is to bring about more steadiness and stableness into that area of life. One thing we definitely see here is a win when it comes to bringing about more happiness, bringing about more adventure, bringing about more exploration. The Sun card here is somebody who is so determined to move forward, and they don't wait on anyone else to have adventures. They go out and they seize life and they take it, and they say, I'm going to enjoy my life and I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm not going to let anyone hold me back. They're very much someone who is ambitious and full of joy sometimes. With this spread, I'll say full of joy a little bit, though there is that Five of Swords there. And it's like saying, I am willing to stand up to the people who have been putting me down, and being successful at it, and having that inner light and having that courage. That Sun in the second house can represent someone having a large sense of self-esteem. It represents someone who is confident within themselves. It represents someone who has this renewed sense of self-worth, someone who believes in themselves. It represents someone who just feels good about them, who celebrates themselves, who is excited about life, who is excited about the things to come, and they're not letting other people bring them down. So your next big win definitely is about bringing this internal light. It is definitely about winning and making sure no one stands in your way. The thing about the Five of Swords is like, I'm going to win at all costs. I'm going to succeed at all costs. Okay, now I don't think you're going to be that toxic, because, you know, my astronauts are not that toxic. We're nice to people. But I really do think it's just more so being motivated to not let anyone get in your way when it comes to reaching your goals. And that includes yourself. That includes you. You're not letting you stop you. You're saying, no, I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm going to do what I need to do to succeed. I'm going to live a happy and fulfilled life like this Queen of Cups. Your next big win is peace. Your next big win is emotional stability. Your next big win is happiness. And that's coming for you. I feel like this represents you being like, I'm learning from all the conflicts, I'm learning from all the complicated circumstances. I'm learning from this competitive environment. I'm learning from my enemies. And because of that, I'm able to move forward in a victorious way. See, the Sun connects to areas of career and finances, and we kind of already talked about finances, but this can definitely just represent career in a way. So if you're going for some sort of promotion, or if you're going for some new role, then this would be gaining that new role, okay? And it obviously doesn't have to be career related in a way, right? Doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's just saying you're standing up for yourself and making sure other people aren't taking credit for your work. You are being someone who is there to push yourself to your limit to achieve the things that you want to go. It's about being tactical about the decisions that you make. It's aligning yourself with your purpose. It's having confidence within yourself. And I really do see that. I really see a lot of confidence building within yourself. Competence too, but like confidence is the main word here. You're becoming someone who is no longer focused on the short-term goals, and you're thinking a little bit more long term. You're reevaluating situations and how you choose to go about them. Now, we all have different goals and we all have different paths, but like I said, the main focus here obviously becomes about like personal relationships and having conversations with people who may have been bringing you down and saying and calling them out on their BS and being confident enough to do so. It's all about the finances, as we talked about, and it's all about the inner light, the inner strength, the confidence. It's about being independent and standing on your own. These are some big wins you're really having coming your way. And we obviously, you know, Jupiter and Pluto definitely brings like a wealth of knowledge. The most obvious one is like, oh, having that windfall of money, especially when we have the second house here too. And I think we already briefly talked about those opportunities when we talked about the finances. But these are the main things that are happening for you, pile number 4. Especially the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is just such an emotionally evolved card. She doesn't let anyone disturb her peace. She says, okay, I recognize those people are being jerks, but I'm going to live my life and I'm going to enjoy my day. And I'm not going to let those people take away my light, take away my sunshine, take away my happiness. You are protecting your happiness. You're protecting your peace. And you're doing it at all costs. You're like making sure no one is getting in the way of this. I really feel like you're gaining clarity and insights in areas in which like situations were turbulent. And it's like you're learning from those challenging situations, especially with the Sun and the 5 of Swords. And especially it feels like that you are ready to reassess and grow in terms of what it is that you find valuable and true to you. Like, it feels like you have ignited motivation. It feels like you are no longer staying in areas where you feel discontented. It feels like you are no longer putting pressure on yourself to live up to somebody else's standards. You're willing to measure yourself by like, it's like what Beyonce said, like, there's no competition, I'm competing with myself. That's what this feels like now. It feels like I'm no longer comparing myself and my life and my interests and what I value to others. I'm focusing on bettering myself. The 8 of Pentacles reverse can also represent sort of like pulling away from like a bad work environment, especially with the 5 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, toxic co-workers, toxic boss, especially with that Sun here, people who can be a little overwhelming, who can be a little bit self-centered. You're like, oh, no way from that. It's like I'm rejecting perfectionism. That can be very 8 of Pentacles, and that's part of that big win. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to improve myself. The mentality changes. No more unrealistic standards. No more living up to anybody else's unrealistic standards. Prioritizing your own self-growth and betterment. And like I mentioned before, recognizing that wealth, that boost of confidence is really, really coming forward. I've gotten the 5 of Swords many times to represent someone who is being undervalued. And so when we have this 8 of Coins reverse, it's like you're looking back at the times, the people, the places, whatever, and recognizing that they have not been valuing you in the way that you needed to be valued. And now your next big win is like, I'm standing up for myself and I'm letting people know that I'm valuable. And if you don't value me, I'm going to leave. I'm going to move on. I'm going to someplace better. I'm going to tackle new opportunities. I'm going to create stability for myself. I am making different choices. And that's a good one. That's a good one because Sun is in Gemini, the sign of choices. The sign of understanding your own beliefs. The sign of courage. If somebody has like their Sun in Gemini, They're going to be putting a lot of, I know there's a lot of things people say about Gemini, but Sun and Gemini can put you in a lot of circumstances where you need to be brave, where you need to have courage, where you need to stand up for others. Because what Sun and Gemini will do is it tends to give a childhood in which there is in all likelihood you kind of have like this little bully figure in your life, whether that's a parent, that's another peer or babysitter, doesn't really matter, but it puts somebody in a situation where they feel powerless. And thus, they have to, as they grow and learn and develop and become adults in life, they learn to see the other people around them who were small and little like them, who couldn't stand up for themselves, and they then turn have to stick up and stand up for others. So not only are you, and not only for others, but for themselves too. They have to stand up, learn to stand up for themselves. That becomes a major lesson for Geminis, especially Sun, that Sun and Gemini energy. It's like, I'm learning to assert myself. I'm learning to be confident. I'm learning to stand up for others. You're truly learning to value yourself. I mean, for certain. You're recognizing your wealth, your worth, your wealth too, maybe. I don't know why I'm getting these financial slips. This is crazy. Maybe it is. Maybe you're recognizing that you have more than you think you have. And that comes from your inner light and financially. Maybe you're looking at your finances and you're like, this is not as bad as I thought it was. You're like, I'm actually not in a bad position as I think I am. I'm in a good position to save time, to save money, and to hit my financial goals. I thought things were going bad. I thought I was stressed out. I thought things weren't going my way. But actually, things might actually go my way. I actually might be winning. And this can represent like I'm quitting my job and I have enough confidence in myself to live off my passions, which not everyone can do. Not everyone can do. Some people, they got to work that 9 to 5 until they can go and pursue their passions, right? But for you, that might be a little different. It might be a different story, it might be a different tale. But that is what I have for you, pal number 4. Please let me know if this resonates. If not, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry. If not, feel free to choose a new pal and do a new reader. I mean, you don't have to like, comment, subscribe if you didn't like it. But I would appreciate if you did. Please tell me what you think below. Love to hear what you have to say about the reading. And other than that, I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out the lives where you can ask me a question. And au revoir. Hey, pal number 5. Let's get started on your next big win. We have death. We have the 6 of Wands. Oh, 6 of Wands again. Y'all over here winning. We have the Queen of Cups reversed. And we have Mercury and Neptune coming together. All right. So, wow, so many victories for you, pal number 5. I guess we saved the best for last. But before we get started, let's roll these Astro dice and see if we can get more insights. Oh, that came out like a little plop. That was Gemini with Rahu in the 7th house. Ooh, Rahu in the 7th house. That is all about wanting to strive towards those ambitions. Sometimes it's relationships, but sometimes when we have the 7th house, it's 10th from the 10th. And so it's like career ambitions and things along the lines of that. So your next big win, let's start off with the traditional sense, could be that you find someone that you truly connect with. That you find someone who you feel is right for you, or you take your relationship to the next level. Those are the most common big win scenarios when it comes to Rahu in the 7th house. And Rahu is a very picky planet. There's somebody who is very particular about who they like, what they do, who they associate with. So in the 7th house, they have these high requirements for a partner or someone that they are forming a business with. They don't just let anyone in. Those people have to sort of prove themselves to them or just meet their standards in some sort of way, okay? And so when we see this going on here, it looks like to me that you may find someone who meets your standards, who floats your boat, who brings excitement into your life, who is caring and insightful and supportive. It's representing having some sort of big win within a relationship or a connection. Like I said, this could be someone you work with. This could be, I've seen 7th house just generally represent professionals, like people, people you work with. Like you could work with a personal trainer, right? You could work with a career coach. You can work with a therapist, but it's like people you work with, right? People who work with and you work with together, a collaboration. So it can bring people like that into your life, not just romantic connections, but people, like I said, you're working with them to achieve some sort of goal. And I really feel like you're making this connection with someone, or maybe multiple someones, with all these 6s of wands here representing all that celebration. It feels like a time in which you're like, wow, I'm finally getting what I deserve. Double victory, double win. It's wins, wins, wins all around. And then speaking of relationships and connections, when I get this Mercury and Neptune energy coming together, normally I see this to sort of represent spending time with, various groups of people, crowds, some even strangers, because Neptune doesn't care. They're like friend, stranger, family, doesn't matter. We're all one. So Mercury and Neptune coming together is like having conversations with people who are interested in the same things as you, people who are trying to craft their own reality, which can be pleasant. People who are interested in making deeper connections, people who are kind, people who are thoughtful, people who are compassionate. And that's more than likely what's happening for you in your life. I remember I've had a Mercury Neptune day, and I think I was doing some hanging out with friends. I believe I was just hanging out with friends. I was having a good time. It was just good to see them again, because I hadn't seen them in a while. So it was like returning of that moment of just peace and serenity that Neptune can bring with Mercury, because Mercury can rule friendship and Neptune can represent that sense of serenity and peace and just being aligned, like sort of just being on the same vibe. So it just feels like that. It feels like maybe you're meeting more people like that in general. Maybe you're just finding yourself connecting with those who have the same vibe, who have similar interests, who have similar hobbies, who are going through similar periods in life, whatever the case may be. But it does make this next big win being like, oh wow, I finally found someone who thinks the way I do, or who does this way the way I do, or who likes this certain thing. And it was actually interesting because when I was having this Neptune, I remember this vividly. When I was having this Mercury Neptune thing come together, the place that I went to with my friend, they were playing this song, and the song wasn't very popular. It is this very indie, low-key, nobody has heard about this band type of song, and they were playing it on their speakers, and I was like, oh my God, like that is absolutely insane. I don't know anybody who has heard of this person. This band probably has like 1,000 listeners maybe on Spotify, maybe if we're lucky. And not only that, but they're a really old band. Like they came out like early 2000s or something is when they had their sort of like burst of mini fame, or even like a little bit of attention. I was like, that is actually insane that this is being played. So it just feels like, oh wow, I'm connecting with someone who has this very specific interest like I do. Things just seem to be aligning. Things just seem to be like flowing in the direction that I am. Like this specific niche. There we go. This specific niche I'm connecting with individuals on, and that's never happened before, and that's an amazing thing. I will say I get the Death card to represent promotions. Now, I think there might be one other pal that may be getting a promotion, but Death card, definitely, I've gotten it multiple times to represent people getting promoted or taking on a new role, which makes sense, endings and beginnings, up-leveling, power, and powerless, whatever if we call it the Death card here. But definitely, it's more than likely achieving some sort of victory, being put into a position of leadership, being celebrated, being acknowledged for your work and efforts, and saying, oh my gosh, we want to promote you, we want to take you on, we want to give you more responsibilities, you're doing such a great job here, here's a new title, here's some more money, like here's some praise, we love you. That is 100% a possibility with this combination of cards. Also, when we get the Six of Wands, for some of you, this can represent a glow up. You know, maybe some of you, because we have K2 in the first house, and if you don't know K2 in the first house, a lot of models have K2 in the first house. It just brings about this very otherworldly, very beautiful, enchanting type of look. And when we see that here, because Rahu's in the 7th, that means K2's in the 1st, it can represent having a transformation or a little bit of a glow up. For some of you, maybe weight loss. For some of you, whatever the case may be, facials, however it is that you are up leveling yourself. But this next big win could possibly be a huge glow up on your part. And you're feeling like, oh wow, I am the ish right now. I am being celebrated. I'm getting compliments galore. Like Six of Wands is 100% in the realm of just receiving lots and lots of compliments. If I pull the Six of Wands and like, what kind of day is it? People are throwing out them compliments left and right. They want to say nice things to you, do nice things for you. It is very much so like, hey, I think your dress looks great, your hair looks cool, like I love your tie, I love your shoes, like, oh my gosh, your style is amazing, or you did such a great job on that assignment, or you're so smart, you are such an articulate person, you're someone who has a strong sense of self, you have a lot of confidence. Like they're throwing out the compliments for you, okay? And I really feel like their next big win is people are acknowledging the hard work that either you're putting in yourself physically or in some other area of your life, somewhere that you are working hard on. It could be your own personal projects where your people are like, oh wow, I see that you're doing so well growing your business. I see you're doing so well at work. I see you're doing so well when it comes to renovating your house, or whatever the case may be, whatever you're putting your time in and effort into. There's so many different areas in life that we could be doing that. I see you so well exploring, challenging yourself, trying new things. I see you doing so well, living your life to the fullest. Like that could be a goal for you and you're doing it. You are absolutely making sure that that is getting done. All right. So I really see that too. And really, sometimes when we have this Queen of Cups reverse, and now following the Six of Wands, you could have felt a little bit of imposter syndrome. You could have felt like, oh, you weren't good enough, or you weren't deserving of some sort of role or some sort of spot, or you don't deserve to be in the room with all of those high-class smart people, or you don't deserve da-da-da. But when we have the Six of Wands here, it's like saying, no, my next big win is that I do deserve it. I believe in myself. I believe that this is worthy for me, that I'm worthy of this. I'm worthy of achieving this. My victory is that I'm letting go of those past thought processes that's saying that I can't make it, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, whatever the case may be. And you get that burst of confidence that comes with that Six of Wands victory. You get validated. People are validating you. They are listening to you. They're open to hearing what you have to say, especially with that Mercury and Neptune energy coming in. You're willing to be open to new challenges, because after we get that victory, we got those new challenges coming in. And it's like you feel confident that you can take them on. And you're allowing yourself a moment to breathe. So your next big victory is just not being in this constant state of working and working and working. The Queen of Cups is just like, let me have a moment. Let me have a moment of pause. Let me have a moment where I can think, where I can gather myself, where I can focus and realign myself to where I'm trying to go. And so this next big win is like you're giving yourself a little bit of a break. You're giving yourself a little bit of a moment to just breathe and be free, and to let go of whatever stressors that you may have going on, especially with K2 in the first house here. K2 is the headless one, right? K2 is like stress. Not saying that K2 people don't have stress. They do have a lot of it. But thing about it is they can sort of let go of the inhibitions and judgments that society is forcing on them. They're like, I don't care what you think. Like, I'm dealing with my own stuff going on here. I got to do what's right for me. So there's a bit of letting go of certain burdens, certain thought processes, certain past circumstances, actions, whatever the case may be. But that is a big win. We all know the Death card is about releasing what no longer serves you. It's about a huge transformation. It's about inner growth and being renewed and coming out on the other side bigger and badder than ever. We all know that you're being acknowledged for your work, that you're letting go of emotional insecurities and baggage. Whatever we said, you have a more healthy, balanced state of being. That's where you're going. You're getting to that place, if not already there. But you're going to get to that place where you're like, I'm more emotionally balanced. I'm more stable. I'm letting my feelings out. No more old patterns. No more insecurities. That we're getting rid of that. We don't have time for these insecurities. Maybe every now and then you feel a little insecure, but to make a habit out of it, you're not doing that anymore. You don't have time for it. Because you're a winner here, and you recognize you're a winner, and you recognize that you deserve to be happy and fulfilled. And that's starting to sink in with you. That's starting to really, really sink deeply in with you. This is like, oh, I ran a marathon and now I'm achieving first place. This is like, you know, I'm trying to think where people typically do. I got in a waiting list. I put myself on the waiting list for this really exclusive restaurant that's hard to get into. And then I finally got in. I got accepted. They let me in. This is like, I was able to buy the home that I want. I was able to hit some financial goal that I wanted to. I was able to break away from any stressors and create more free time for myself and build more connections with other people. I've been able to let go of old dynamics in my relationship and create new ones. I've been able to be supported by my partner and be with someone who I feel really aligns and has the same vision and goals and wants the same life as me. But I really do feel like you have so much going for you, like pile number 5. Like, this is so amazing. This next big win, if we're talking about like specifics, we know that we have a lot of fire sign here. That's the double fire sign with the double 6s of wands. And no more consolation prizes. You're getting exactly what you set your mind out to. But as I was saying, fire signs kind of relate to, as I mentioned before, free time. It relates to, you know, self-expression, the arts, creativity, things along the lines of that, using your voice, putting yourself out there. It relates to having fun. It relates to romantic relationships. It relates to education and learning. We have the 9th house here relating to travel and learning and studying and connecting with people from different foreign lands and philosophy and thought processes and sort of mentors in a way. It can represent that as well. All of these areas you might be winning in if we're going to throw out these circumstances out here. So if we're talking about like finally being able to, I don't know, date the people you want to date or date how you want to date. I know there's always that weird debate going on like social media. I don't want a coffee date. And it's like, please, okay, then don't go on one. But but anyway, it's like saying I'm finally dating people who are on the same wavelength to me. Like if I want to drink coffee, we can drink coffee. Or if I want to go to dinner, we can have dinner. Like they're on the same wavelength as that. It's finally getting opportunities to showcase any sort of work that you may have and being celebrated for it. It's finally getting the big win when it comes to, like I said, if you're planning to go to school, being educated or taking some sort of course or trade, then that's like, okay, that's going well for me. I've got in and I'm top of my class. I'm doing the best. Like, you know what I mean? That is that type of energy. It's like finally being able to have time to relax to yourself, as I mentioned like 3, 4, 5 times. Finally getting opportunities to travel and go to different places and experience a whole new world and meet different people. That's what that opportunity is looking like. Finally get a chance to speak your piece, get a word in edgewise, not having people sort of talk all over you, and they're actually willing to listen to what you have to say. This is what this energy is like. And then, like I mentioned before, that glow up, that sense of, I have my edges laid, my nails done, like I have hit the gym, like my skin's glowing, you know, it's just like feeling good, looking good, and amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing is what I want to say. It's just feeling amazing. And that's what's happening for you, pile number 5. So that is what I have, and hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm not the reader for you, but I really do feel like this next big win, like I've already mentioned all the categories of the different relationships, but the main thing is like you're feeling great. You're being celebrated. You're being acknowledged. That's the main core message here. But I'm going to leave it at that. And I will hopefully see you next time. Don't forget to tell me what you think, how you feel. Love hearing your comments. Love hearing your feedbacks. Join the live sessions. Join the live sessions. Join the live sessions. If you want to ask me a question, I will be there. And you can ask me your heart's desires and we'll get into it. But that's what I have for you. And I will see you next time. Au revoir.